Saludos and salutations, Broncos country, and welcome back into another exciting episode of Broncos Talk. Ladies and gentlemen, Libre and I have got a banger for you guys today. And yes, I made sure that Libre's AV stuff was taken care of, unlike last week's episode, which I still do apologize for. But Libre will be here with us tonight. It's guaranteed. But ladies and gentlemen, I thought that in today's episode, we would talk about something that's kind of been going around Broncos country, and it's a conversation that I've been having around with, I don't even know if you want to call them Broncos fans at this point, but so-called anyway, about whether did the Broncos make the right decision by giving up their late first-round pick for the acquisition of one Jaylen Waddle. How is everybody in Broncos country feeling in the fact that tomorrow night in the 2026 NFL draft, the Broncos do not have a selection currently, and what is there anything the Broncos can do about it to maybe wiggle their way, or as I said in the title, waddle their way up into possibly before the night ends, getting a pick in the first round? So ladies and gentlemen, please make sure your food is warm, your beer is cold, and that you're comfortable as hell, because you are not going to want to miss a single episode of today's show. And let me just say, for those of you, I'm sorry, I keep hitting the mic. If you've ever been my passenger when I do Uber, let me just say this. I have never been to the Bean, the big metal bean that we have here in Chicago. And I always get the weird eye from my passengers when I tell them that I've never been there. And they always say, why not? You live here. And it's one of those things where it's like, hey, I live here. I can go tomorrow if I wanted, but I just don't, But it's a giant freaking bean. It's like everybody, like hundreds and thousands of people see it every year, maybe millions. I don't know. But to me, I'll go one day and I'll upload it to social media. So make sure you follow me on there so you can see. But until then, no rush. And welcome back in, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Adan Diaz, and joining me to my left or right, depending on which direction you're watching, is my co-host, the one, the only, the incredible, my best friend, El Bronco Libre.
What's happening, Broncos country? One thing is, I've been to Chicago once, and I've been to the Bean. How come you have not been there? But you know what? I get it. You live there. I get it. So I totally get it, because I get question too is about, oh, do you go skiing? How come you don't go do that? I don't ski. I'm a big guy too, so I don't ski. So I like my knees too much. But I get it. When you live here, there's a lot of stuff that you don't go out and do because, it is in your backyard. So I get it. I give you the little pass right now, so you're good.
Technically, Libre, I drive past it. I see it. It's right there, right next to me at the stops at the traffic light. It's like 10, 15 feet away from me. So technically, that counts. I don't have to actually get out of my car and physically touch it like the rest of the world. I see it. It looks okay, cool, whatever. It's a bean. Life goes on.
That is funny, though.
But Libra, I think I'm gonna have to start charging you for these cool intros I gave you, bro, because they are just like awesome. Like, you can't get that type of intro anywhere else, man. You gotta admit.
You're right. I can't. And thank you. You got that payment I sent you, though. That's why.
If it's not a truck full of tacos outside my house, I don't want it. But ladies and gentlemen, welcome in. We are so excited to be here with you guys. One day away before the NFL draft. Now, as I said at the start of the show, I know there's going to be a lot of disappointed Broncos fans because we're literally going to be sitting there with our orange jerseys and hats on and watching everybody else have fun tomorrow night. Maybe, just maybe, the Broncos could surprise us in the later rounds, Libre. We're going to talk about that. But I wanted to talk about kind of something different, kind of pivot away from what everybody else is talking about. Now, before we get started, before I ramble off like I always do, got a couple things we want to get out of the way before we start, just like we do at the start of every single show. So please bear with us. If this is your first time here, welcome in. If not, welcome back. First of all, Libre and I would like to ask you for your support for us here on the Orange and Blue Network. If you can subscribe, share, comment, and like on this and all the other videos we have here on the network. The beautiful thing about us as a network is that there is something for everybody. We've got shows, we've got drama, and I think Bronco Libre was crying in one of the previous episodes because of that beautiful victory we had. And it was real, it was authentic. Hollywood, call this man. But it helped us get the word out to Broncos country that we are here and we are not going anywhere. Your support is greatly appreciated. For any business inquiries, you can email at broncostalk2020@gmail.com. Audio listeners, regardless of what platform you're listening us to, we appreciate your support. If you'd like to give us a 5-star review, always well appreciated. And if you like, you can screenshot it, send it to our socials, which are right there at the bottom, and we will shout you out live here on the air. My Twitter handle is at a 6'10" Mexican. Bronco Libre is at Bronco Libre 5280. Ladies and gentlemen, today's show is sponsored by Dubby. If you've never heard of Dubby or don't know what Dubby is, well, let me just tell you, it's got no sugar, no calories, no maltodextrin, no fillers, no artificial colors. It's formulated with nothing but amino acids, B vitamins, and nootropics, including the patented neurofactor nootropic, and the caffeine is derived directly from the coffee fruit. And to show you how awesome they are, they want to hook you guys up. If you use the code OBN10, you'll get 10% off your final checkout order for Dubby. Again, that code is OBN10 to get 10% off your order at checkout. Shout out to Dubby for being a continued sponsor of this and all the shows here on the Orange and Blue Network. Ladies and gentlemen, even though we are currently in the off season, we still have a bunch of great programming for you guys. And if you've never seen or heard this before, ladies and gentlemen, you are in for a treat. Please keep in mind that the times I'm going to be listing are in Mountain, so please check to see what time it is in your local area. On Mondays and Fridays, we have the Orange and Blue Blitz at 11 a.m. Mondays at 7, we have the Broncos Bros because, hey, do you even Broncos, bro? Tuesday at 7:30, we have the flagship show, Nothing Rhymes with Orange and Blue. Wednesdays, before we go live on the air at 6, we have the Mile High Symposium for those of you that are Rockies, Nuggets, and Avalanche fans. By the way, shout out to Avalanche. You guys are doing your thing, man. You guys are doing your thing. Got to give you props. Mile High Outcast podcast every Thursday at 7. Viva Los Broncos every Friday at 7 p.m. during the regular season. During the off season, we will be streaming once a month. For any breaking news, the Fresh Squeeze is right there for you to bring you all the breaking news in Broncos country. So please make sure you hit that live notification bell on so you don't miss a single moment of the action. Speaking of action, we have the Get Buck pregame show, which airs live 1 hour before game time during the regular season. The play-by-play, which is the bucking booth for all of you guys, those of you that do not have access to the game in your area, don't worry, we got you covered. And the post-game show, which is the Buck Your Feelings, every single game day at the end of every game, where the guys break down all the stuff from the day's events, the good, the bad, and the Baki, as we like to say around here. So, guys, please make sure you show your support for every one of these shows. The network really, really appreciates you.
Whew.
Can I go home now?
Hey, you know what? That's a good show. I love it. Thank you, guys. See you next week. Dang, I'm tired, and I didn't even talk during that time frame.
You know, when Johnny tells me I talk too much, he's really not kidding. He's actually stating a fact. But, ladies and gentlemen, As I was saying before, we started with our normal commercials or programming, whatever you want to call it. Basically, I wanted to take today's show in a kind of a different direction, kind of pivot, if you will. Now, normally I always tell you guys that Johnny's the one that comes up with the great ideas for the title shows and the cue cards, and he does 90% of the work, while me and Libre just kind of sit here and talk for however long we talk. So, but unfortunately, Johnny isn't feeling well, and it was left up to me. So I came up with today's title. I know it's probably cheesy and it's not the greatest, but you do what you can. But we are keeping Johnny, wishing him a speedy recovery, hoping he gets to go back home and safe and sound. So thinking of you, buddy.
Yes, sir.
But basically, as you guys have heard me say hundreds and hundreds of times over the last 200 something episodes, I unfortunately am not savvy to college football. So I don't know any of the players coming in as of tomorrow, aside from, that breakdown that they do after they're selected, Libre, or I stopped relying on Mel Kiper because I think Mel Kiper's predictions lately have just been freaking terrible. But any Broncos players that do get selected after the draft is over, I do go and do my due diligence, and I look them up and see what they did and whatnot. So with that being said, so I'm not the one to come to with draft picks. I know, like, every single podcast I've heard over the last couple of days, they've all been breaking it down and seeing in hypotheticals, if the Broncos were top 10, middle of the pack, if they hadn't traded for Waddle, all that good stuff. Who would they get, and what would the biggest needs be, and all that. And they're all great scenarios, mind you, Libre. But the issue that I wanted to focus on, and I don't know if we've talked about this on the show before in the past, is after Jaylen Waddle was selected, there were people in Broncos country that were not happy that they felt that what the Broncos gave up to get Jaylen Waddle to come to Denver was too rich, that Waddle was not worth a late first round pick, Libre. So I'll turn it over to you. Get your opinion first. What do you feel when you hear something like that?
When I hear people saying that, do they even Broncos, bro? Do they even know football? Do they even know football? You have to put that in perspective as well. Yes, you have to sometimes give up a little bit of equity to get a good quality receiver or just a playmaker. And he's one of those type of guys that is a playmaker. So when they say that we gave up too much for this, they don't even know football that well. I think it's just they look at the draft picks as being, oh, you need to have all these picks, you need to have first rounders, you need to do all this. But again, look at where the state of the Broncos are at right now. We are a team that is a complete team right now. We're just a couple of different players away of being to that next level, taking us to that Super Bowl. Just like how we said about last year, we were one Bo Nix ankle away from being in the Super Bowl. So adding a weapon to our offense, because there's times during last year where our offense wasn't that great. Our offense didn't get us to where we were at. It was the defense that was able to hold up the other team to get us in positions to how we finished the season. And with Waddle, he gives us and elevates our offense itself. So giving up the 30th pick in the first round for Jaylen Waddle, and then we swap positions in the fourth round for this upcoming year, where we actually move up in the fourth round and they moved back in the fourth round. So that alone right there is well worth it, because you have to remember Waddle is going to give us that extra explosive firepower that Bo Nix needs. Even if it's with Cortland Sutton out there now, with Troy Franklin, Marvin Mims, we're going to have an explosive offense. Now, if we can get, with the hopes now with Evan Ingram having more targets for this upcoming year, because we now have the play calling over to Davis Webb, I think that right there alone is going to solidify this offense. And giving up that third round, the 30th pick in the first round, I'm all for it, and I was super happy when that happened. And when it was announced that morning after the day when Talib said, "Hey, something's happening big," and guess what? We were all waddling around in my office. I'm just saying, we're saying waddle time.
I still got to get my penguin in before the start of the season. I think I got time. Mudtoy, we'll get to your comment in just 1 second. Just to kind of answer my own question, Libre. Up until when the Broncos made that selection to get Jaylen Waddle, everybody in Broncos country was just pulling their hair out because they felt that as soon as free agency kicked off, almost every other team out there was making moves except the Broncos. They were sitting on their hands. Fans were getting impatient. They wanted something to happen. They wanted some type of action. So when Waddle came across our screens, and I thought that there would be like no negative about this. I thought that the only people that we would hear crap from would be Dolphins fans who are just literally watching their team being picked apart because of salary cap restrictions in hell or whatever you want to call it. So when we get to this point, and then I start reading these comments of fans just basically saying that they felt like the Broncos overpaid for a guy like Jaylen Waddle's talent, I think that that some people just love to jump the gun, Libre, and that's what I put it to. Like, you guys are jumping the gun. You're freaking out. You don't. I don't want to say question your fandom, although a part of me wants to, but it's like adding a guy like Jaylen Waddle to find a talent like Jaylen Waddle's that late in the first round, Libre, is as you got to remember that with the further you go down that list, Libre, especially after the first and second rounds, it gets harder and harder to find a diamond in the rough. And even when you get to Mr. Irrelevant, Brock Purdy, you can't tell me that the Niners didn't get lucky with that pick because that's exactly what it is. It's just luck to find a guy like Brock Purdy that hasn't flamed out and under the guidance of Kyle Shanahan has been pretty damn good for the 49ers compared to what they were dealing before with Nick Mullins and Jimmy Garoppolo and whatnot. So I think a late first round pick, you could kind of almost make the same argument, because we kind of had this conversation when they traded Bradley Chubb for a late first round pick. And then the Broncos used that first round pick to give it to the Saints to get Sean Payton here. And people were upset about that too, feeling that it wasn't worth the contract. Sean Payton was just sitting on a couch talking smack on Colin Cowherd's show about, everything that Nathaniel Hackett was doing wrong and what he would do if he were the coach. And it was kind of like, all right, well, you put your foot in your mouth type of situation. So I feel that they need to give Jaylen Waddle a chance before they start, making any type of assessment, negative assessment at that. And I disagree with them when I say this is definitely a good deal for the Broncos. Giving Bo Nix more weapons, that can never be a bad thing, Libre. It just freaking can't.
No, you're right. You're right on that. Go ahead.
No, I was going to go to the comment, but if you want to say something, go ahead.
No, we can go to the comments real quick.
Okay. Mud Toy TT says, what do we have to give up to move up to early round 2 and get J-Rod? Maybe you can help me out with this, Libre, because I don't know.
So J-Rod is a inside linebacker from Texas Tech. His name is Jacob Rodriguez.
Okay.
So he, that's going to be, if he's available and if we don't have to give up much to get up to that position, I think that's going to be a good decision. I'm hoping that he can fall to number, I think we have 30th in the second round as well.
I believe so.
And or 62, the 62 overall pick. So yeah, it is the 30th pick in the second round. So if he can fall to us at 62, I would love it. And again, I would also say, like, I wouldn't mind if he doesn't go, or if he's already gone by the time we come up. offensive lineman or a defensive lineman. Like if we can go and just solidify our lineman itself, if we can't get J-Rod, I agree that get an offensive or defensive lineman, and I'll be happy with it. I think we just need to create depth. So, we need to have more depth, I think, on the offensive line more than the defensive line, but I'll take whoever's the next best available player at that time.
I still think, Montoy, that if the Broncos do want to move up, the only way that I can see them moving up besides giving up draft capital, like future draft capital, is to trade away a player. I still think that Courtland Sutton is up for trade because that whole issue about him back in March, where it was just kind of, or was it March or February, when that whole, like, I don't know if I'm going to be a Bronco next year, and, you know, the social media thing and all that, that never really got resolved. And once Waddle came into town, that whole thing was kind of like shoved under the rug because nobody hasn't talked about it since. Everybody was just like, all right, we got Waddle, we'll be good type scenario. So I think that if they do want to move up, I want to say early second round, maybe not the first round, because you would have to probably throw in more than just Courtland Sutton. So unless it's something, it's a gamble that George Payton really wants to take a risk in, and bringing in a guy that's like, hey, we got Jahdae Barron last year. I still think was a fantastic pick, and that guy's just only going to keep growing in this system. You just got to give him time. And hell, we dealt with so much backlash from that, Libre, when they announced Barron's selection, where it was like, oh, you could have gotten Omarion Hampton, who was still on the board, and I forgot what other player, and they felt like the Broncos whiffed. But he stepped up when Surtain got hurt, and the defense, it bent, but it didn't break. So hopefully we're putting our trust in George Payton again to go out there and be able to get the best that the Broncos could get at the position that they're allocated. And we're going to clutch our pearls if we see the Broncos trade up, because it's like, what did they give up? Who are they going to get? Is it going to be worth it? Are we going to talk about this in like a year or so and say, hey, this was a great pick, or was this a bust?
So going back to Courtland Sutton, yes, they had all of the what is he going to do? What is going to happen? And you know why everything went quiet? Is we extended him last year. So that's why everything went quiet, and that's why you didn't hear anything else with it as well. But you remember right before like how I mentioned earlier about Talib saying something about a big trade is going to happen. And what happened the next day? We got Waddle. Well, he was just talking last week about, hey, the Broncos are working on something big as well, and it's going to happen possibly on draft day. So there could be a potential that's happening, that's going to happen tomorrow, where, yes, do we move up in the draft? Do we do something like that to get to your point, Maritoy, about J-Rod, about getting him there? But I feel like it's going to be, if it is going to be a big trade, I feel like anything that's who's going to be more expandable about this, I don't think it's going to be Sutton, but it could be potentially Riley Moss, who might be out there. So I'm throwing that out there because yes, we have, like how you were mentioning about Jahdae Barron, about him being up, getting in there, stepping up when these guys were hurt or whatnot. But it's now his time to shine. Like that's the only way that he's going to be able to play. And that's why you took him in the first round at that position. Is that now, do we have to let go of Riley Moss and get something big for him? And is that going to be it, where we move up in the draft and that's what we give up? But again, who knows what's really going to happen? But I do feel like something big that the Broncos are working on right now is potentially out there. And I'm just throwing a name out there. I might be totally wrong, but I do feel that Riley Moss is one of the guys that might be a potential where he may not be a Bronco for this upcoming season if this does happen.
Man, I didn't even think about Riley Moss, but you could be Riley, Bray.
Well, the thing is, you have to think if he was a corner on any other team, he'd be the number one corner right now just because of the way that he played and how you take away all the PIs that he had last year, because more than half of them were bogus PI calls anyways.
Of
Go
course.
back and review the tapes. But if you go back and look at his play, yes, he's opposite of PS2, but that's because nobody's going to throw to PS2, and there's only one other option is the other side where he's at. And his numbers alone, if you put him on any other defense, he's the number one corner on that team. And he'll be the prime starter for any other team in the league. And I'm talking about the other 31 teams. So that being said, I feel like he is very expendable and that teams would really want him just because of what he has been able to do over the last 2 years. I would hate to see him go, but if we're going to be able to get some good draft capital or we get another big time player within exchange with him, I'm all about it.
Jay Weaver saying number one priority in my mind is getting a future returner to replace Marvin Mims. First of all, Jay Weaver, shout out to you, brother.
What's
Thank you so much for stopping by, showing your support. Hey, man, tell Johnny when is he going to let me come on the flagship show, man. It's been a while since I've blessed you guys with my presence. Tell him to make it happen, bro. I will clear my schedule for that day, and I will come and fire you guys up. I can't replace Johnny because he's the owner, but we'll talk.
That's funny.
But to be honest with you, Libre, the only name that comes to mind in terms in Broncos history who was maybe better than Mims in terms of returning was Trent Holiday. Trent Holiday was fantastic, and that's the only player that comes to mind where it was like if you give that guy an inch, he takes a mile, and he had speed like nobody's business, and he was dangerous during his tenure in Denver. But you would probably, for a returner, Libre, would you say that you would have to find like the fastest guy on the draft board?
You know, like I didn't watch any of the Columbine. I know that there was a lot of fast guys that that showed up, but what you're looking at those guys day 3. Like you're not picking them here in the first couple of rounds itself. Like tomorrow's round 1, and I think Friday is what 2 and 3.
2 and 3, yeah.
And then the rest of the rounds are on Saturday, but you'd have to look to see who's available there on Saturday, because you're not picking anybody up there that for our needs anyways tomorrow or on Friday.
I mean, yeah, you could find a diamond in the rough, or you could trade for one if you really wanted to, Libre, or just wait until week 4 of preseason cuts, because there's going to be players galore from all the teams when they have to cut down their rosters down to 53 and find the quickest one you can out of that bunch. So while I would say it's a priority, I wouldn't say it's number 1. As long as Mims is there, I don't think it's number 1. But if, God forbid, they trade Marvin Mims tomorrow to move up, then I would agree that it's like, okay, now it's a big priority.
Well, the part of it, what I think what Jay's really saying is like we want to save him as being just a wide receiver only, and not using him as a dual threat. And yes, I agree with him as well. Like, yes, that's one of the priorities that we want to do, is we just want him exclusively for the wide receiver position. But it's working for him. He's a special team nightmare, especially with those punt and kick returns, man. Like if he gets that lane, he showed it against the Raiders, and get him that lane and he's gone because of his speed. So, we have to find somebody that, that's something that the Broncos have to work out and figure that out. And again, like I said, I'm always rooting for the name on the front of the jersey, not the back, but help the team better. That's all that I'm looking for, is let's get this team better than what we were yesterday.
I can't help but keep thinking about what you said about Riley Moss, because that hypothetical fits in with our title, Libre, in terms of if the Broncos can find a way to waddle themselves back into the first round, a guy like Riley Moss's caliber, who I'm pretty sure was sought out by a bunch of teams, even though he wasn't a free agent this year. But despite all of his the penalties that he got, most of them were just bull. Let's be honest.
Mhm.
And I'm not just saying that because I'm a Broncos fan. You can go back and look at the tape yourselves. A lot of those calls, you've seen a bunch of other cornerbacks do the hand play and the movement and what have you. Ticky tacky at worse than some of them.
Oh yeah.
And the only time I've ever if you guys heard me say, the only time I ever disagree with Shannon Sharp, because Shannon Sharp does not like that guy. If anybody would love to see Riley Moss shipped out, it'd be Shannon Sharp. But if you put him, let's say hypothetically speaking, in a trade package, and you include a maybe next year's first, and I think you could probably get up to maybe early 20s. Dare I say mid 10s, Libre, like 15 down?
That even with that, I do feel like even with that is a high price. Like getting to that part with Riley Moss, like yeah, you may be able to get back into the first round, but it's going to be late in the round, like 20 plus. I don't think you're going to get anything higher than that itself, and that's even stretching it at that point. Unless a team is so desperate that they really want Riley Moss that bad, then it's whatever they're willing to give up, and you try to take full advantage. But I don't feel there's a GM out there that those teams that say in the top 15 are not going to be willing to say, let's go out there and give up our first round for a Riley Moss at that level. As much as we would love to see that, I don't see that happening.
Just so the other 31 teams out there know, we would be open to trading Jarrett Stidham.
I am open to talks with trading him from my fantasy team. So if you guys are out there willing to talk about it, let's talk about it.
Because apparently there are some teams that were really interested in getting Jarrett Stidham in case he didn't want to re-sign with Denver. But I think Stidham did the right choice by staying put, because I don't think he would have loved to have taken his chances with the Jets.
Well, you remember we talked about this there at the end of the year when we played New England. That New England offered him at the beginning of the season to be the backup for Drake May. And it was for more money as well, for one of the top tier backups of being paid. And he declined it. He goes, the culture here in Denver is so much better. I'm willing to take less money to stay in Denver, to be in the culture that they have built right now. And that right there alone speaks volume. Like if you have a player that's a backup player saying, no, I don't want to go over there because the culture here is so much better. That quarterback room is a lot better. I just like the coaching staff. And it could be the training facility too, because they just completed that. So this upcoming season, they're going to be in the new training facility at Dove Valley during training camp, which I'm super excited for when it opens up, to be there, to be able to experience the whole new renovated Dove Valley, or what they call it now, Common Spirits. But even with that, I think that because of that and the amount of money that our ownership has put into this, why wouldn't you want to go out there? Brand new facilities, the training facilities, top of the art, the best doctors, the best equipments, like they've done it for these guys, and why not be part of that? And that's what he's done. That's what he did.
Yeah, you know what? It's still kind of a surprise to me, Libre, how the Broncos survived free agency with minimal loss. I expected a whole bunch more players to have exited out of Denver, not because they were pushed out of Denver, but because they, took the money and ran. Don't blame JFM at all.
Not at all. He got paid.
he got paid, and we all knew he was going to leave anyway. So,
Yep.
good luck to him and our safety. What's his name?
PJ Locke.
PJ Locke. Thank you. I couldn't think of his name.
Yep.
Going to the Cowboys. Same thing.
Yep.
Get your bag, man. Good luck to you. Going out there, you won't be the only former Bronco there. You got Javante there, so he'll got some good company. And
Oh yeah.
I think Vance Joseph sticking around for this defense, Libre, was probably my biggest surprise because I really thought he was going to leave and try to chase that head coaching ring or rhythm or whatever you want to call it, that path again.
Yeah.
And give himself another shot, which is something that a lot of former head coaches in this league don't always get, Libre, especially when they turn out to like he turned out when he was the head coach in Denver a couple of years ago. So it's incredible to see how even as players depart or that they decide to stay, they mostly always say the same thing, that they love the culture that the Broncos have created, and they have something special brewing here in Denver. And as you and I keep saying, and we'll probably keep saying until the end of time, if it wasn't for a freaking injury, the Broncos maybe in a different timeline, Libre, in the multiverse out there, are Super Bowl 60 champions.
No, you're not wrong. Like I said it earlier, we're one Bo Nix ankle away from being in the Super Bowl because of the way the game played out in the AFC Championship game with the defense, the way that they held them up. And I say they only gave up 3 points on that game. They got lucky on that fumble to be able to help them get that touchdown. If Bo Nix was playing, that fumble would never happen. We would have had more yardage. We're gonna play the what ifs and all that, whatever. But like I said, we were one Bo Nix ankle away from being into the Super Bowl, and you never know. We could have outplayed them, Seattle in the Super Bowl, and won it. Or we could have gone in and it could have been a complete Super Bowl 48 repeat. You never know what that could happen, but knowing what that AFC Championship game was and the way that it played out, you have your different quarterback in there. It's a completely different story.
I wholeheartedly agree, Libre. And your cousin showing us some love. ¿Qué pasa, raza?
What's happening, vato loco?
Bro, that's a name I haven't seen in a long time. Juan, how you been, man?
I know. What's up, bro? Primo?
Been working
What's
hard,
funny?
I see.
I don't know. Did I say this the other day when the Raiders signed Kirk Cousins? I have this coworker that is a Raiders fan, and he's Latino too. And I said, "Hey, you need to go get a custom jersey out there, bro." I go and get it where it says Primos. Instead of saying cousins, say Primos on the back of it with his jersey number. I go, you'd be the only one in the whole state to have it.
Until somebody whose last name is Primos is like, bro,
why you have my name?
Oh, Zep. But good to see you, Juan. I do appreciate you coming back and showing your support, and hope you've been well. Because I always wonder when we see somebody that we haven't seen in a while, like, hope everything's all right. Hope his life has been great. No negative life changes, of course. And we are grateful for every listener, every viewer, whether you're watching us live here at the moment or you listening to us after the fact. Again, regardless of what platform, we do appreciate your support because you could be anywhere in the world right now, especially watching us or listening to us, whether it's in your car, at work, working out, whatever it may be. Just very, very appreciated. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, guys, to all of you.
Woo!
Woo woo.
All right, it's the end of the show. Bye.
Bye. Have a good one. Thank you.
But I mean, Libre, do you think that there's a team out there that would maybe because we've also seen it in years past where they would think to themselves like, you know what, we feel good about our team, so we want to trade back and maybe accumulate picks for not so much this year, because obviously if you're trading back, you're either trading picks for the next year. Do you see that happening where and I'm not asking you to pick a team, but any team that says, "Hey, you know what, Denver, we're kind of good, but let's talk about us trading back and the Broncos moving up." Because I feel if the Broncos did that, that could be like a little bit of a cheaper way to kind of move up versus, another team trying to take advantage of Denver and say, "Hey, if you want to be 23, then we want like your one next year and a two and uh, Devon Key."
Well, you know, and it's very possible. It's always a negotiation. There's some teams like you can do. You don't have to say necessarily say you're number one for next year. Why don't you give me your third, fourth, and fifth round picks this year? Like because those teams say if they're already good to go, and it's like, you know what, we just want draft capital at this point. So, and it
Mhm.
could be give me your third and fourth this year, and then your fifth or sixth rounder next year, something like that. So there, when teams are at that point, they do that. And the funny thing that you brought that up, the I saw this on Twitter from I think it's Mile High Memories, brought it up and was talking about the draft day when we got Demarius Thomas. So, and I don't know if you were referencing that because of that, because at that draft we went back several times in that draft to for I don't know if it was because they're targeting him or something, but they went back a couple of spots to I think to the 24th spot, and then they had to move up to the 22nd spot to actually grab him. So they had to do another trade just to move two spots to get him. And then right away, part of because I was watching that just right before we came on too, and they were talking about Mel Kiper and all the other guys on ESPN were talking about it and saying, "Oh, why did the Broncos move up? Are they going after Demarius Thomas?" And Demarius Thomas was in the green room and they had the camera on him and he didn't have the phone. He goes, "Well, it doesn't look it might be Demarius Thomas because he's not on the phone or anything. Is it going to be Des Bryant? Are they going to go after Des?" Like they're moved up because they wanted to get one of those two wide receivers. And that just alone right there, just when you brought that up, that right away is like, "Oh, that's I just saw that." Because the Broncos did that when we drafted Demarius. So yeah, it could potentially happen. Any team is like willing to go back, and if they can get draft capital, they're going to do it because now they have more picks either this year or next year. They're going to have those extra picks. And when you talk about picks in the NFL, they treat those like gold bars because though picks in general are very valuable.
Yeah, I'm trying to see when uh, he got drafted by the Broncos in 2010,
Yep.
and they picked Thomas in the first round, 22nd overall. He was the first wide receiver to be chosen that year. On July 31st, 2010, the Broncos signed him to a 5-year, $12.155 million contract with $9.35 million guaranteed.
Mm-hmm.
And that's crazy, Libre, because the Broncos were so confident in what Demarius Thomas could do. They loved the tape and what they saw.
Mm-hmm.
And, giving a player, especially somebody who hasn't picked up football in terms of the NFL, and take that risk with them and say, "Hey, we believe that you're going to be the next big thing for our football team. So we're going to go ahead and take a gamble and pay you all this money." And in Demarius Thomas's case, it works out. And in Russell Wilson's case, it doesn't work out. So, I didn't even know about that, to be honest with you, because I don't know where the hell I was in 2010 during the draft. It may have been during my I'll watch football again in September phases. To be honest with you, I was a lot younger and dumber back then. But regardless, Libre, him just being happy to be in Denver, and he came at a good time too because he got to play with Kyle Orton. He got to play with I think Kyle Orton was here 2010.
I think he was, yeah. And then
Tim
Timmy
Tebow,
Tebow,
and then obviously the career he had
PFL.
with Peyton Manning. So it was just it was great. It was so happy for me to see Demaryius Thomas, and then the Broncos just adding Emmanuel Sanders coming off from Pittsburgh was just like just a fantastic wide receiver duo. And the that was probably the worst thing that Steelers did was give Peyton Manning more weapons. And I'd like to think that Jaylen Waddle coming to Denver is that exact same predicament where it's like, hey,
Correct.
Bo Nix, we're giving you a really good wide receiver, somebody who's going to punish defenses and stretch the field. And I think that going back to the streams that I've been watching these last few days, Libre, where they were just kind of talking, the position that I heard the most in terms of mock drafts and what ifs was tight end, Libre. A lot of people in Broncos country feel that if the Broncos do trade up, they're going to get the best available tight end.
So and this is going to Bronco Bros, and of course I know they have a little bias on it, but they're talking about Sadiq. And right now, he's one of the best tight ends that I think that is out there. I just saw this mock draft. I think it was a final mock draft that just came through not too long ago. They have him predicting going number 16 overall or 15th overall. Let's see if I can find it again. But yeah, it's here it is. Keon Sadiq, number 14 overall to the Ravens. So, and of course, I feel like, yes, the Ravens do need a tight end because Mark Andrews is already at the end of his career, and what a great replacement. But again, if we can go out there and get Sadiq, that would be one of the best tight ends out there. But I don't think he's going to be available for us at all, even if trying to get back into the first round to get him. So we'll see what happens there.
I mean, this is one of those scenarios, Libre, where you can say never, because I mean, I thought last year that Omarion Hampton was going to be gone in the first top 10, and he fell all the way to the late 20s.
Well, yeah, he was to the pick right after us, like when the Chargers picked him up.
Yeah, so I thought he was going to be right up there with what's his name, the running back from Las Vegas.
Genty,
thank you, Ashton Genty. So I thought they were going to go like back to back gone. So it was kind of crazy to see that happen. And Broncos country still lost their minds, and more so because it was the Chargers of all teams to have picked up Hampton instead of Denver. So I guess the beautiful thing about being a Broncos fan, Libre, is that in George Payton we trust. I mean, he didn't have to move up to get Nick Bonito. He got Nick Bonito in the third round.
Yeah, second or third. I can't remember off the top.
Yeah, let me see. I'm pretty sure it wasn't first because the Broncos have never had a first round pick.
Well, they've had a first round pick, but
like number
overall.
one. I meant to say
not the number one
yeah.
overall. Yeah.
Yeah. I can't spell. Give me 1 second. I couldn't spell Nick. But he I thought it was Nick.
No, Nik.
Yeah. So he went in why doesn't this say 2022 regular season 23 64th.
So second round.
And that's like mid. mid-second
at the
round.
end.
Yeah. And it was the pick that the Broncos used that they got from the Rams in the trade for Von Miller. And he started in the 2023 season, and then he started over Randy Gregory in week 4 against the Bears. I remember that game. I was at that game. That was the scoop and score with Jonathan Cooper.
Yeah. If they only ran out of bounds, if he didn't run out of bounds, that game was been over. Bears win.
Yeah. And that was
basically where I
basically
was at. I was at the DMVR bar watching that game because I remember I was there with my buddies there watching it. I was like, dang, that was crazy.
oh man, the people around me, oh, they hated me because I was talking so much smack. But hey, they started it. At halftime, I was just sitting there. I was trying to, I was just trying to enjoy the game, trying to eat my nachos, and people were messing with me, thinking that I actually flew in from Denver, telling me, hey, if you leave right now, you'll beat traffic back to Denver. And I'm like, hey, there's every football game has 2 halves, man. This game ain't over yet.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if Russell Wilson hurt me. I didn't see that Sean Payton cut off his sleeves because it was hot in Chicago that day. But the Bears came back and won that game. And that game was enough for the Broncos to say, all right, we don't need Randy Gregory. We got our guy right here in Nick Bonito. So I have a feeling that that George Payton is going to hit another homer. Now, I guess you can make the argument that the jury's still out on Pat Bryant and some of the other players that George Payton picked last year who weren't exactly like world beaters, at least not yet. Pat Bryant was definitely good at the wide receiver position. His injuries just came at a bad time, Libre.
Mm-hmm.
And I'd like to think that George Payton in the war room, and don't be surprised if nobody shows up in the Broncos war room tomorrow, Libre, if they just say, you know what, we'll come back on Friday type of thing. But
honestly, there's going to be George Payton's going to be in there. Sean Payton's still going to be in there because you have to remember there's still going to be maybe like how we mentioned talking about possible trades possibly coming in. So maybe not like the extended coaches and all that, but the main heavy hitters are going to be in that war room itself. I wish I was just a fly in that war room just because I want to hear some of those conversations that they have. Would they talk about players or, like potentially like what ifs? Like, they're always talking about possibly what ifs. Just like in the movie, I don't know if you had a chance to watch it yet or not, but the movie Draft Day, that puts you into almost as the fly in the wall, on the fly on the wall there in that draft room itself, where all those conversations that are happening and so forth. That's the stuff that I want to hear. That's I want to get a little bit more intel, get behind the scenes, like give us more behind the scenes of what's really happening on some of these conversations that they have.
The only worry I have going into tomorrow, Libre, is the fact that there's rumors going around that Kansas City is trying to jump all the way up to top 5, I heard. So, like, inquiring minds want to know what treasure chest of a deal is Kansas City going to pull all the way up to Arizona's door and say, hey, we want top 5 pick. Like, I just don't know. You think Chris Jones is a part of that deal? Patrick
There's
Mahomes.
There's going to be a big ticket. And, and again, like Mahomes, he's not going to be starting the season off.
Yeah.
Even though as much as they trying to say that he's ahead of schedule or whatever, he's not. Like it'll be a miracle. It's going to be more like an Adrian Peterson type of thing. Where he was only out, what was it, like 7, 8 months, 9 months, maybe the max, I think it was that he was out. But I don't think he'll be ready before then.
Yeah, and you don't move on from a guy like Gardner Minshew to Justin Fields because apparently Gardner Minshew didn't do a good enough job on tape, except for the fact that he got hurt. Nobody could have predicted that. But To be honest with you, I don't think Justin Fields is an upgrade over Gardner Minshew. Currently, in their current state, they're probably even. To be honest with you, I will die on the hill, Libre, when I tell you that Justin Fields should have stayed in Pittsburgh. Him leaving the Jets to go get a big fat contract, which the Jets are still on the hook for this year, by the way, because it was a 2-year deal, if I'm not mistaken. Um, it just goes to show you that Patrick Surtain II was the best selection or the right selection for the Broncos to have made, because I do remember that draft night
Yeah.
where Broncos country and certain people I know close to me were like, yeah, we'll take Justin Fields in Chicago. Denver messed up. You guys are going to regret it. We have our franchise quarterback, blah, blah, blah. Okay. Let them ball out then, because apparently Trubisky wasn't it. Maybe Fields will.
Well, part of why I think Fields is no longer in Pittsburgh is because of Mike Tomlin as well. You know, there's a stuff like that that's factors in as well. And part of it is he only did sign a 1-year contract as well. Why he didn't re-sign with them is because now Mike Tomlin's no longer the head coach there. So now he goes, now I need to find somewhere to actually play. And he picked up the spot, and now, you know, he's going to be starting week 1 right now for KC, but it's still not going to be good for him. He's going to be a career backup. He's going to be a good journeyman that's going to be out there for a while and not really amount to being a true starter.
Agreed. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we have reached the end of regulation, which means it is now time for Libre and I to go to overtime.
Let's go.
Let's go. And welcome back in, ladies and gentlemen. This is Broncos Talk Overtime. If this is your first time here, this is the part of the show where Libre and I let down our hair figuratively and talk about anything going on in our lives. Doesn't have to be football related, of course, but if there's a way we can bring it back to Broncos football country, whatever it is, we definitely sure will. Libre, looks like you got something to say.
What's a happening, Bronco Tiz? Let's go.
Salutations, Bronco Tiz. Thank you so much for stopping by. Do appreciate you taking time out of your day to come and say hello to us. So I just want to say, for the record, because I had somebody did ask me why we kind of start cutting a little bit shorter into the overtime segment of the show. It's more for Bronco Libre because I feel bad because I'm keeping him from dinner. So I know when we do these overtime, I know when we do these overtime segments, I tend to ramble on. And I think there was one time we were talking for like almost 2 hours, and I think Libre didn't eat until like 8 o'clock his time. And I've always felt bad about that. So I figure if we take 5 minutes off of our regular show and kind of just throw it into the overtime segment, then great. If we feel like we got nothing else to share with you guys, or unless you guys ask us questions, then hey, it's all right. We'll pick up on this subject or whatever next time. So feel free to ask us anything, guys. This is your only time of the segment to do so, that especially if it's not football related, as I said. But one thing I did want to talk about, Libre, and it's something that we didn't get to talk about last week because I totally forgot until after we signed off, where I looked at you and I was like, oh man, we we forgot to do the talk about WrestleMania like we did last year, where we spent an entire overtime segment on it. But I don't know if you saw the show of shows this past weekend.
I did.
What did you think?
Well, again, like when I was watching it, there's a couple wrestlers who I didn't actually know because I don't follow it like every single week or whatever. There are some people that are like, who's this person? Like, and I didn't understand like the whole storyline about it. And but once you start getting into it, once you see what's happening, and especially with the commentators and all that, I thought it was pretty good. Overall, Brock Lesnar retiring, you know,
That would
uh,
hurt.
yeah. So it's like when I saw that, I was like, wait, what? That's crazy. That to think that that's happening. And then I feel like WrestleMania is just getting too much of all these YouTubers now, like ISO Speed and Logan Paul, and like I get that he's been in there for a couple of years and doing it now, but I see him doing that a little bit more. But like now you're getting a little bit more of these YouTubers and so forth. Like I think they need to get away from that, but I think it's because they provide views, and that's the thing that sucks. Is like, yes, that's what they want to do and get more views, but guess what? They just signed the contract with ESPN to be able to broadcast off of ESPN as well. Like they're still doing a great job with, I think, without that. Um, but again, just seeing some of those matches, like how bad, like what was it? Cody Rhodes, did you see his face after the match that he posted? It was crazy.
That was gruesome. I will say, Libre, that the only thing I don't like, I understand the celebrity aspect of it because it has always been about celebrities since its beginning. But I think it made more sense before because you actually used those celebrities in skits. They didn't always have to be wrestlers on the mat.
Yep.
But I think it was better when they used them in skits in different aspects of the WrestleMania show, not just having them sitting there watching as a fan. Because if you really want to be technical about it, there's hundreds of stars sitting in their own personal homes or whatever watching the show. So it really doesn't make any sense to me. Like if it's a couple, fine. But I felt like almost after every match, they were like, oh, Jameer Gibbs is here. And, just sitting there. And the guy from the Pacers is here. And George Kittle is here. But they're just sitting there, So to me, I would like to say, if I could tell Triple H anything for next year's WrestleMania, especially since it's going to be in Saudi Arabia. And Saudi Arabia, they got more money than they know what to do with. So
like Bronco Tiz said, let's get Libre to WrestleMania. Sure. I'm just saying.
Sure, let's get Libre to WrestleMania. Let's put him ringside. So if they can incorporate more of them into, to associate themselves, maybe again, not to go down the path that, I Show Speed did or that Logan Paul did, because as much as I hate Logan Paul, he does his job better than most heels, especially in the indie circuit that I follow. That guy gets paid to make you hate him. And Lord knows I hate that man.
You know what's funny is I just saw a video on YouTube earlier today that I guess, I don't know, did you see that pendant that he was wearing? I guess apparently that was Joshua Joseph's pendant that he wore when he took out his brother. And so he ended up having it. He's at WrestleMania. But then right after he got beat up and all that by ISO Speed and all that, and he took that pendant over to Pawn Stars and tried having the Pawn Stars and getting it pawned off. He goes, man, this pendant is just nothing but bad luck for me. So at first he's like, I want $250K for it. I want this. And it's just funny the way that Rick, the owner of Pawn Stars, just kept on negotiating it down and down. And he goes, well, I'll give you $30K for it. And then he goes, what? $30K? He goes, yeah, I'm not even going to use the pendant. I'm going to take all the diamonds out of it. I'm going to take out all that. He goes, you can't do that. You have to use, that's part of history. It has lineage of history right now. He goes, yeah, but that doesn't mean nothing to me. What's value is those diamonds right now. And he goes, all right, Rick, quit lowballing me, but I'll take the $30K, but I'm not happy with it. And of course, Chum Lee chimes in. He goes, yeah, nobody's ever happy with any type of lowball offers that Rick gives out any customers. It was hilarious.
Oh, yeah, I remember that. Oh, man. But yeah, night one was a huge disappointment in my eyes, Libre. The only good part out of it was the fact that we saw Paige come back.
Oh yeah.
If you've ever followed her career, she went through some crazy stuff. Technically, her injury almost kept her away from wrestling, period, which is one of the reasons she wanted to leave WWE. And she was able to kind of pick herself off her feet over at AEW and get back, find her way back into the ring. And she even won a tag team championship out of it. So that was great. But almost everything else, it was just kind of like I still think Randy Orton should have won. Because granted, don't get me wrong, I like Cody, the American Nightmare gimmick. That whole thing was great. But I feel that ever since he beat John Cena at SummerSlam, like he hasn't really, like he kind of lost some of his shine, if I'm being honest with you. Because when he won it from Cena was different than when he won it back from Roman Reigns when he finished the story. So it's kind of like great, and it's like, okay, you're champion again. So it's like, all right. But for some reason, Randy Orton turning heel, like you just wanted to see him win it because you knew if he did, it was going to be good because we haven't seen or felt heel Orton in a really, really long time. And to have been able to put the belt on him would have been fantastic. I don't know what RKOing Pat McAfee. I don't know if he just did it out of frustration because he didn't count fast enough, I guess. But I hope Randy Orton gets another shot and actually wins before he decides to call it a career because we could definitely use one more Randy Orton title run.
When you brought it up and me remembering the match itself, it looked like there was something else going on with Randy Orton too. I don't know if he got like a concussion or something. Like he wasn't all there.
Really? I thought that was just for show.
Well, and again, like there was a point where like I know like when Randy was hitting I think that's part of why Cody Rhodes is like out because he actually got punched and I think he broke his his orbital bone or something like that.
Yeah.
So, but I think again, it could have been where part of the show, but just looking at it, I thought I could typically see that and whatnot, but I really thought like he was really injured too.
Probably. Before I give my night 2 review, your cousin jumps in saying, Adon, are you going to be there for the home opener? I'll be there. Would be a great trip if you did. Also, I already can't wait for the season to start. Libre WrestleMania was an 8 out of 10 this year. Now, is that 8 out of 10 for both shows, Juan, or is that just for one show? Because I feel that both shows cannot be in the same regard because night 2 was definitely better than night 1. And the only thing that kept it being like really freaking great was the fact that we didn't get any surprise entrance. I know that they were really pushing to bring back Chris Jericho after the Rumble, but apparently contract negotiations fell through, and Jericho decided to re-sign with AEW, and he started feuding with Ricochet of all people, all over again. So I guess that's why they didn't have anybody for night 2 because he was supposed to be it. But Brock Lesnar supposedly retiring was a total shock. Nobody expected that to happen, especially after that type of loss to Obafemi. Because there's only one big man that I've ever seen Brock Lesnar not get manhandled but lose to and it made sense. And that was The Undertaker. And that was before The Undertaker's physique started to break down on him. But again, night 2 was great. CM Punk and Roman Reigns just brought down the house. That was a fantastic match. Kudos to Punk for still selling after he lost his title, because I think that just made it even better.
Oh yeah.
And I don't think I like both of those guys. I wasn't rooting for one over the other. I thought whoever wins it definitely deserves it. And hey, we get another Tribal Chief Championship run, except he doesn't have his wise man with him. So
yeah.
What did you think, Libre?
The same. Like night 2 was way better. Um, and also like when I saw AJ Lee in there as well, like because AJ Lee and CM Punk are married. I don't know. Did you see because like there was a video that came out after CM Punk was at the airport, and
Mm-hmm.
like a fan was like heckling him, like or trying to videotape him or whatever, and he was like, I don't know if he was wanting to still play in character, but he was pissed off, like, uh, but again, I get it too. They're humans, and just leave them alone. Like they're just trying to get home.
The video that you're talking about, I saw it. It wasn't at an airport. It was at a hotel.
Okay.
So the fans found out which hotel they were staying at, and Bailey was having a moment with AJ Lee, and they were I think they were in the lobby area, and they were hugging. And this guy comes up, and his phone is literally in their face, like he's just holding his phone like so close to them.
Okay, I missed that part.
And yeah, and Bailey asked him to please stop it, like leave him alone. And they tried to move, and the fan is just following him with his freaking phone. And before Bailey could, I don't know if she tried to reach and like kind of push him away. Like she just kept asking him to stop, leave him alone, leave him alone. And that's when CM Punk came and smacked the phone out of the guy's hand, because it's like, dude, why do you need to be so close to where you
Yeah.
can literally touch them if you wanted to? Like you have no sense of like awareness. Like, dude, it wasn't so much that they were minded being recorded because they were in a public area. It's just that, keep your space. Like, leave them the frick alone. They're not going to stop and talk to you. They're like, yeah. So it was just kind of like, especially CM Punk. He would do what any husband would do. You bother somebody's wife, they're going to come and talk to you and be aggressive about it because you can't take a hint. And from what I read, the fan was like, "Oh, I want an apology from CM Punk and a brand new phone," or something stupid like that. And I was like, "Bro, go outside and touch some grass."
Really?
Like it's crazy, man. But Juan, to answer your other question, are you asking me if I'm going to be at the home opener for the Broncos? Is that what he was asking me, Libre?
Yeah. And then Bronco Tiz comes out. We have huge plans for the home opener. Just saying. And again, like I mentioned, we have rumors have been flying around from my contact there in Mexico, who was a fan of the year, saying that there are going to be about 200 people coming up from Mexico for that game. So, and we host that tailgate. We're the official Broncos en Español tailgate. Game one of the year. First game of the year.
I haven't actually picked out a game to go to Denver and see yet. I know every year I say I want to go to the season opener, but I haven't been able to do it. And the schedule hasn't even come out yet, so we don't exactly know who the Broncos. Yeah, it comes out next month, right? So we don't know who the Broncos are playing yet. So I'm definitely going to try to plan my trip to Denver this year because unfortunately I couldn't afford to go last year. The closest I could do was Indianapolis, and that had to be my trip for the year. So this year I might have to cut some corners. Maybe I won't have as much luxury as I did the last time I was in Denver. Nice hotel, nice rental
that's
car.
Because you owe me tacos, bro.
I don't know what you're talking about, bro.
we have receipts. I'm gonna pull them all up.
I might have to cut some corners and either start a Patreon or a GoFundMe, or just have Libre pick me up from the airport if he can find out how to get there.
You can take the light rail into downtown, bro.
Does the light rail go to the airport? I don't remember seeing a train.
Yeah, it does. It takes 40 minutes from the airport to downtown.
The only thing I remember was coming out of the gate, and then we had to walk past all those restaurants because Denver International makes O'Hare look like chump change.
Yep.
And we had to walk past, technically not past TSA because you're not being checked, but to baggage claim. And then once we get the baggage claim, it's like rideshare is right, or not rideshare, shuttle is right there. So normally I always rent with Enterprise, and I miss that car, dude. You have no idea how much I wanted to drive away in that damn thing, like a hybrid Toyota 2026. It was 2025. Was it 24? I think wasn't even out yet to the public, and somehow Enterprise already had it. Like, what the hell? But
That's how they get people to buy cars.
I think so, man. So I was like, how do you guys have a car that's not even available to the general public? Like, what kind of witchcraft is that? But yeah, because unfortunately the hotel that I work for, they changed management companies and owners and whatnot. So I don't have that nice, sweet hotel discount anymore. And the current owners don't have any hotel ownership in Colorado. In the entire state of Colorado, they don't own one property.
They're slacking, bro.
So which means that whatever hotel I go to, I'm going to have to pay full price.
That's nuts.
Although I might have one of my old bosses lives out in Colorado, Libra. I think he lives in a place called Parker.
That's about 10 hours away from downtown Denver. No, I'm just kidding. It's probably about an hour away.
Yeah. So I know because he told me when he saw that I was in at Mile High, he was like, "Hey, you should have told me. Like, I work in a hotel now here and lives out there with his family. Like, I'll hook you up." So that might have to be my go-to, Libre.
Yeah.
Unless you got a spot in your garage for me, I can bring a pup tent.
You know, I don't have a garage, but I have a carport. So you have a nice breeze. Everything's good there.
Well, you're gonna have to make space for two because I'm pretty sure my nephew's gonna want to tag along. He's been with me both times I went.
Nice.
Hotel Balderrama.
There you go. I charge double.
Double. Was it when you had your cousins on? It wasn't in the current room you're in, right? It was in your other room.
No, it was in my basement.
Oh, your basement. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I was gonna say because we could probably do Broncos talk like live. It'd be like the first live where me and you are in the same room and not in different cities. And
or we can go to the DMVR bar.
They let us film there.
You know, you can always ask. I know the owner. I know Lindsay. With all you can do is ask. What's the worst they're gonna say? No.
Well, the only way I'll agree to that, Libre, is if you can hook it up and let me meet Bree, because I want to meet her.
We will invite Bree and have her on as a guest.
I don't know, man. Bree does like 100 different things. I don't know if she'll even have the time, even though isn't technically the Let's Talk Broncos studio right above.
It's right there, yeah.
Yeah, because I could have sworn out because I remember when they were filming, I forgot what it was, and I'm like, that stuff looks familiar, like I've seen it before. And somebody responded to my comment like, "Yeah, that's the DNVR bar," and I'm like,
so I know, I know she's recorded some stuff as well out of the KOA studios as well, KOA radio.
Yeah,
so
yeah, that one I
know
do
she's
remember.
done that before too. So
yeah, like she is a very accomplished woman, and I'm telling you, like she is definitely on my list of people to meet when I go to Denver. You obviously, I still haven't met Mario Vitanzi. Who else haven't I met? I've never met any of the MHRT guys. I've only met Johnny
and Jay.
Johnny and Jay. I when Lindsay was on, I told her if I ever go to Los Angeles because I want to go to LA one day and watch the Broncos play at SoFi. Maybe I'll hit her up and she can be my tour guide for the week.
There you go. Oh no, let's see. Who have I met? I met Jay, Johnny, Isaiah. Who else? Broncos Bros, Outcasts. Married with Drinks. You know, they're always on the Outcasts, which will be on tomorrow night. An hour earlier, they're going on at 6 instead of 7.
You met Bronco Tiz.
Bronco Tiz. I don't know Juan. I don't know who that guy is. From the network, who else have I met? Dak. I met Dak. I think I met almost everyone except for the Mile High Symposium people.
Yeah, I've never met them either. At all.
Yeah, that's crazy to think that I met almost like everyone.
Well, technically, we've had this conversation before. We were in the same stadium
A couple of
before
sections away.
yeah, a couple sections away. And technically, I saw you on the flyer. So, in a way, Johnny
What?
was just,
This one?
yeah, Johnny was just one day late. One day. If he would have called me like the day before and say, hey, I got this great idea. Like when you go to the stadium, look for the guy on the flyer. I don't know if Johnny knew you were going to be on the flyer, but if he just sent me like a picture or something, I'd have been like, well, that guy can't be hard to find. Like I would have just walked around and asked everybody, have you seen this guy? Have you seen this
Well,
guy?
to be fair, he messaged me the day after.
Oh, the
After
day
the
after the
game.
game?
Yeah.
Oh,
So he
okay.
messaged me the day after the game and whatnot. So, and we talked like during the middle of the day when you were trying to figure out if you can go to DMVR bar or not with your nephew and didn't go. And then when he did reach out to you, you were already at the airport, I think.
Yeah. If you would have heard that conversation, I was walking towards our gate and I thought he was just calling me to see like because I told him that I was watching the show as we were walking out of the stadium and like I had people trying to look over nobody can look over my shoulder because nobody's that tall, but to my side, and they were watching and I had the podcast on full blast and it was Johnny and the post game show. And I was like, yeah, you guys should follow. You guys should follow. You guys should follow. So I thought he was calling me to tell me like, hey, like our we got some subscribers. Like, what did you do? Type of thing. And the first thing out of his mouth was like, do you know who Bronco Libre is? And I'm like, Bronco who? I was like, no, man. I had no, I don't know who Bronco Libre is. Like, who is he? And then he sent me a picture, and my nephew was the one that recognized you before I did. He's like, hey, that's the guy from the flyer that you couldn't find. I'm like, yeah, the one I left on top of the garbage can when I went to the bathroom. When I came back, it was gone. So I still think a wind blew it out, Libre, because when you sit up in the nosebleeds where we were, like, it was pretty windy. And
Well,
I'm still
I'm
pissed
not
off
as
I didn't
tall
have a
as
hat.
you, so it wasn't that windy for me. I'm just saying.
And I didn't even have I forgot to bring my hat because I was too cheap to buy it at the mall. So when the sun was in my eyes, I was holding my cup like this. And my nephew just kept reminding, like laughing. He's like, I told you should have bought that hat. I said, I didn't have anywhere to put it, okay?
That's funny.
I'm enjoying the game. Go Broncos. Oh, snap. Good times. But before we head on out of here, Mudtoy saying, write J-Rod no matter what on a green post-it and leave it on Peyton's desk.
I
There you
like
go,
it.
Libre. You got some
Homage,
homework to do.
homage to draft day.
But ladies and gentlemen, that's going to do it for our overtime segment today. Libre and I would like to say thank you to everybody in the comment section today. Bronco Tiz, Mud Toy, Jay Weaver, Juan Marquez, thank you so much for being here with us. Shy Vargas, I know we saw you in here a little while earlier. And anybody else watching us right now, thank you guys so much for being with us and being a part of today's show. And before we head on out of here, just want to remind everybody, if you could please show your support for us here by subscribing, sharing, commenting, and liking this video and any of the other previous episodes that you may have missed. Your support is greatly appreciated and helps us spread the algorithm out there to tell people that we are here and we are not going anywhere. Ladies and gentlemen, for any business inquiries, you can email at broncostalk2020@gmail.com. Audio listeners, regardless of what platform you're listening us to, your support is very, very much appreciated, as well as a 5-star review if you can give it. And if you'd like to share it with us, we will be more than happy to read it to everybody here live on the air. Our Twitter handles are right there at the bottom where you can send and screenshot it. Mine is at a 6'10" Mexican. Bronco Libre is at Bronco Libre 5280. Shout out to W for being a sponsor of this show. If you use the code OBN10, you'll get 10% off your final order at checkout. Again, that code is OBN10 to get your 10% off your order at checkout. Shout out to W for being a continued sponsor of this and all the shows here on the Orange and Blue Network. Ladies and gentlemen, Libre and I cannot wait to be back here with you guys next Wednesday and talk about all the new players that the Broncos have picked up, where they picked them up, and how influential and detrimental they will be to helping this team, whether it's on offense, defense, or special teams, just climb another rung higher and closer to getting that championship trophy this coming season. I cannot wait, and it gives me time to do some research on them too. So I don't sound so clueless as me and Libre welcome them into Broncos country. So with that being said, we're going to head on out of here. He's Bronco Libre. I'm Adan Diaz. This has been Broncos Talk here on the Orange and Blue Network. We say good night, so long, and as always, go Broncos!
Let's go.
Let's go.